And welcome to 2 Minutes of Torah. This year is entitled Using a Shaon Shabbat, a Shabbat timer on Shabbat and Yom Tov. So it's a relatively new topic, the whole idea of setting up a Shabbos clock before Shabbat, a hot tray, the lights, air conditioners. Certainly didn't exist centuries ago. Rav Moshe spoke about this half a century ago in America in the 1950s when it became more popular. He actually was a little nervous about the whole thing. Rav Moshe thought that just like we don't have a mirala akum on Shabbat, we don't ask a goy to do Shabbat. Basically, for asking a goy to do melacha on Shabbat, Shabbat could become a regular day where the guy is going ahead. Yes, put on the lights, turn off the lights, put on the air conditioner, turn off the air conditioner. It becomes a regular day, and you are avoiding melacha by having him do it. So Rav Moshe was not happy the fact that by having a timer do all the work for you, it's also going to become a zilzul, a violation of Shabbat. If not technical violation, certainly in the spirit of Shabbat. So he wasn't a big fan of the timers. He was a little bit lenient with timers regarding lights, but the topic didn't exactly interest him so much. However, Shabbat timers certainly has become a way of life. Every house in Israel is built with the built-in timers for the electricity, for the lights to go off and on. The kitchen is set up. The houses here are built with the kitchen, certain outlets in the kitchen that are not affected by the Shabbos clock, so you can keep the chulent plugged in and the plata plugged in the whole Shabbat. And even though you're setting the electricity in the Shaon Shabbat, the timer to go off and on throughout Shabbat, doesn't affect those outlets. And that is the accepted minhag here for many, most of Klal Yisrael. This Shmirat Shabbat, Perek Yud Gimel quotes Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach and says that certainly one could go ahead and set up a timer before Shabbat, and he needs not to be worried of the fact that it is groma, indirectly you're causing the lights to go off and on. He says that's all set before Shabbat. It is not a problem. Where things get interesting is even according to our lenient minhag and practice to use timers. So yes, we are lenient before Shabbat. The question that needs to be explored is on Shabbat itself. Is there any room to play around, to make it go off later, to make it go off on earlier, to prolong the time that it's running, to prolong the time that it's not running? If I forgot to set the Shabbat mode, can I just click it? If it's a simple mechanical mechanism, can I simply click it to Shabbat mode? So B'nai Hashem, we're going to explore that in the next shiurim on the topic of Shabbat clock, Shaon Shabbat. Shalom.